BarkerCast. Breaking news from the Reef. All right, welcome. This is episode 309 of the Clive Barker podcast. News from the Reef. So we're kind of bringing this back to where we're trying to hit the news as it develops, because we discovered on our last episode that we had news that was so old that there was a contest that had already come and gone by the time we reported on it.
Oh, yeah, that happened. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the big news today is a Candyman, the second Candyman trailer has dropped, right? It's called Trailer 2.
Yes, it came out this week. I think it was on the 23rd, so maybe 3 or 4 days ago, as we're recording this. And wow, what an amazing trailer!
Yes, yeah, I was shocked. What we want to do is kind of do an audio commentary. Well, we're going to watch it together first, and audio commentary through it, and then we will talk about it after.
Yeah, we'll describe it a little bit, what's going on, and we'll discuss it. Yeah, that's cool. I got mine all rewinded all to the beginning, so let me know when you want to start.
And we've got a link in the show notes, so you can kind of click on it and follow along if you want to. To watch it while you listen. Okay,
impromptu commentary track.
Yeah, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
So a little kid walking down the street in Cabrini Green with some toys.
So the first thing that struck me is they changed the origin story, which is so Candyman to do, right?
Yeah, because who knows what the real story of Candyman was? It was just supposed to be a rumor come to life.
Yeah, and I think that's where the sequels failed a little bit, because they developed the backstory from the first one that was really just sort of a rumor.
Yeah, so we have Anthony's talking to someone in a laundromat, and he's telling him the story of Candyman, that he gave candy to the kids, but then there were some razor blades. And then the cops came and killed him, but then the razor blades started appearing again, so he was innocent.
Yeah, so they tortured and murdered him, and it's a kind of a racial injustice thing. It looks like it maybe took place in the early 80s. I'm not sure, because that's when that razor blade thing kind of started.
And then we see some glimpses of the previous trailer that had the schoolgirls in the bathroom saying Candyman, and then there's a black schoolgirl in one of the stalls, and then she sees that all the other white girls who summoned Candyman were killed.
And so we've got, what is her name, Norma Jane? I forget.
Yeah.
And she's talking to Anthony, so this makes me think that he's baby Anthony from the first movie.
Oh, it could be, right? Yeah. That would make it the spiritual successor that they've been talking about.
And he probably grew up never hearing anything about Candyman, because why would she want to tell him?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And he found out about it, and he's getting obsessed about the story.
Yeah. And his mother saw somebody else get obsessed about Candyman and kidnapped his son and murdered her dog. I mean, she doesn't want anything to do with Candyman.
We got another glimpse here from another previous teaser trailer where there was a murder in the art gallery that someone said Candyman in front of the mirror 5 times. Yeah. And then you see that someone's being lifted by a hook, but you can't see him on the mirror image, but you can see it from behind.
Yeah.
And here's a scene with the police car, I think, and Candyman is killing a police officer and surrounding him with the bees. Yeah. So a lot of screaming Candyman. That was it. That was the trailer.
Yeah. So this trailer scares the crap out of me in a good way, like the first movie does.
Yeah, and I want to bring right out the bat here that we might be talking about things that might be a little spoilery. So if you don't want to hear anything about Candyman, you might as well just click off right now.
Yeah,
because I have some theories about what's going on in the trailer, and I'm going to discuss that.
Spoilery only in that we might guess things right, but we don't know. I mean, we're just watching the trailer just like everybody else.
Right. I'm just saying that for the people who don't want to hear don't want to watch any trailer. Well, if you don't want to watch a trailer, you wouldn't be listening to this. But like people who don't want to hear any sort of thing about the movie before it premieres. And it's supposed to premiere in August 27. Is that it?
I think that's right. Yeah. And So, I mean, my theory is that baby Anthony is being drawn back in.
Yeah, and we see that at one point he's taking pictures in Cabrini Green, and the whole thing about Cabrini Green is, of course, that neighborhood doesn't exist in real life anymore. When Rahm Emanuel was mayor of Chicago, I think they demolished that place eventually. But now they kind of show it, like something that was supposed to be Cabrini Green, and now it's getting gentrified. Yeah. And so Anthony is interested in the history of Cabrini Green, I think. And he finds out about the legend of Candyman. And he gets bit by a bee while he's taking pictures around Cabrini Green, right?
Yeah, really cool foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. And throughout the trailer, it seems like his hand, where the bee bit him, that might be what sets off his transformation into, like, what I'm assuming is going to be the Candyman. Because it seems
I agree. Because I think because they don't show Candyman in the trailer at all. Or in the first trailer.
Yeah. Well, they kind of show him killing people like in mirror angles and stuff, but you never see who he is.
Yeah, you don't see his face.
Yeah, which seems like there might be an entity kind of thing incarnating into Anthony, or something like that, taking possession, right? And did you hear through the trailer? It seemed like we could hear Tony Todd's voice at one point.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
Dark baritone voice. I think it was saying "Say my name" or something like that. It sounded like Tony Todd to me, but I might be wrong.
Yeah,
he is rumored to be involved in some extent in this movie, even if it's just going to be a cameo. We're not sure.
Right, and it seems like he kind of got in a little trouble for even saying that he was in it at all.
Yeah, on Twitter.
And it's tough that they've kept this stuff a secret for so long because this movie was supposed to come out over a year ago. Yeah.
Thank you, pandemic.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see this. I mean, I'm also nervous because I think it's going to scare me. I love that they're bringing back, actors from the first movie and Anthony, which might be the kid that we saw in Candyman in the first film? Well, the Anthony was the baby that got dragged into the funeral pyre.
Yeah.
Or into the bonfire, I mean. Yeah,
so Anthony's played by Yahya Mateen, and if it's that, then I would love that they would bring back Anthony like that and his mother. That would definitely make it a spiritual.
What's her name?
Yeah, Anne-Marie. There's also a shot in what looks like a church or something, or some sort of altar that had "Sweets for the Sweet" written on the wall.
It's interesting, right? Like it's some sort of church to Candyman. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
like some sort of like a homeless shrine to the Candyman or something like that.
Yeah, which throws back the original franchise, right? Because there was something like that in one of the houses.
Yeah.
And wait, I hardly remember the third because it was so bad, but wasn't there like a group of people who had a cult of Candyman or something?
Yes.
Oh my God.
You were calling them the Hot Topic Brigade.
Yeah. So I'm glad
they
that
were in like some sort of basement of abandoned building or something like that.
Oh gosh, I need to watch. To me, it was like the first and second one are just the best.
Yeah,
I think that was really good, and then the third was kind of like,
yeah,
an afterbirth.
yeah. The third one shouldn't have been made.
Yeah, but so I mean, I'm pretty stoked about this. It seems like since Anthony's going to be an artist, so he does portraits, and I really love the art that they show in the trailer. The paintings that he does of faces, they're mostly black faces. So it seems like this is going to be, about this whole gentrification thing and this whole.
So maybe marginalization of the original residents and the people who lived there before.
Yeah, the guy who's telling him the story of Candyman, right?
Yeah.
He's one of the guys who used to live in Cabrini Green. The way he's talking seems like he has firsthand knowledge of the myth of Candyman, although that might be fake for all we know. Well, that might be a fake story.
And it's sort of this poltergeist idea of just like bulldozing over the old, stuff to sort of push it down and hey, here's a new happy version of Cabrini Green. And like Poltergeist, you didn't tell me you built it on an Indian burial ground.
You only moved the headstones, but you didn't move the bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the synopsis for people who don't know yet, it's Anthony McCoy and his girlfriend, art gallery director Brianna Cartwright, played by Tiona Paris, move into the newly gentrified Cabrini Green neighborhood of Chicago. When McCoy learns about the tragic true story of Candyman, he begins incorporating the vengeful spirit, summoned if someone says his name in the mirror 5 times, into his art, unlocking a door to a complex past and unraveling his own sanity. And there's a shot in the trailer as well where it seems like he's kind of like jerking back and forward and trying to pull his arm out of a painting. Did you see that one?
Oh, no, I missed that, I guess.
He's like going like, it's like fighting something. I don't know if he's fighting something internally or fighting something showing up through the painting.
Or it could be a dream.
Yeah. It's a great idea for this. I'm looking forward. So August 27 is kind of around the corner because it's a month away. It's just 30 days away.
Wow. Yeah, and my theater is back. I thought it was closed for good, but they opened back up on May 1st.
Good news, everyone.
Yeah, so I don't have to drive 360 miles to go to see this in the theater now. But I haven't gone to watch any movies in the theater yet still.
Yeah, me neither. But I'm going to try to make it for this one, for sure.
Yeah.
Because Nia DaCosta has been very vocal in coming out and saying that they really want this movie to be seen in the theaters. They said, let's see if we made Candyman to be seen in theaters, she wrote on Twitter, not just for the spectacle, but because the film is about community and stories, how they shape each other, how they shape us. It's about the collective experience of trauma and joy, suffering and triumph, and the stories we tell around it. Obviously,
I think that if it was going to be streaming, they would have said so by now, right? I don't think it is.
No, it might end up being streaming as well, but I think they're gonna.
But maybe later, right? I think that they're really gonna push to make this come out on theatrical first.
Yeah,
although it's a Universal movie, right? And isn't there this like Universal Plus that's trying to be like HBO Now?
Yeah, so they made a VOD deal, right? So I think it was they wanted to shorten the theatrical window of their movies, and they wanted to bring them more quickly to streaming platforms.
Yeah.
So it was something like Universal could put new movies on premium video on demand in as little as 17 days. So I don't know if that's going to apply to a Candyman, but even if it does, that's still 2 weeks in the theaters for people to watch it.
Yeah, so you and I can go see it on its opening weekend and come back and talk about it for that week's episode.
Yeah, and the deal said that films that generated at least $50 million in opening weekend ticket sales would have to play exclusively in theaters for 31 days or 5 full weekends. Oh. So let's push for that. Let's make Candyman go to up the $50 million in the opening weekend. That would be tremendous.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. I might have to find somebody to come with me because I know Jennifer's not going to see it.
Oh. I don't need to convince Sarah. I think she's on board with it. I was watching the trailer in the kitchen as we were having lunch, and she was like, "Wow, look at that! That looks cool." So
it looks scary. I can't believe how many people you see saying Candyman's name in the trailer. Like, come on, you guys, stop it!
I know.
Knock it off.
So here's my question to you: have you ever?
No.
Okay.
Never. I won't. I know it's superstitious, but I don't care. It's like, you know that you're not going to get anything good out of doing that.
Yeah, yeah. Candyman.
No.
You know, one of the things I really loved about the second movie was that the book that was being written about Candyman had a mirrored dust jacket. I thought that was such a genius.
From that pompous professor guy.
Right.
Yeah.
But this movie looks so shiny and so clear, and really love the lighting and the way that it looks.
And that neat sort of paper puppet-esque storytelling thing. I hope that that's in the actual movie and not just a trailer thing.
God, yes. Yeah. I certainly hope they put that in, like, either an opening or when they're talking about the legend of Candyman. And there was another teaser trailer, right? That was entirely just puppet stories like this.
And it's so artistic and cool. And depending on this movie, I may just want to go back and see other stuff that Nia DaCosta has done. I know she hasn't done a whole lot of movies, but I think she's done a few.
Yeah. Now got me curious.
For people out there, one more time, Nia DaCosta is the director, not Jordan Peele.
Right. Yeah, it goes without saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it kind of goes without saying, except people keep saying that all the time. Like, oh, here we go again, Jordan Peele movie or whatever. And it's like, no, he wrote the screenplay with Nia DaCosta and Wynn Rosenfeld. And Nia DaCosta directed it. So, I mean, she's making it for Jordan Peele's production company.
And before that, she worked on directing Little Woods in 2018. So I haven't seen that. That's something to look forward.
Either. Yeah.
Yeah. It says here that Little Woods, a modern Western about two sisters who work outside the law to better their lives. So another female empowerment movie. So that's good. And and it looks like she's got a few credits here. So go check her work out. I'm definitely going to look to see if I can get Little Woods. I know it's on Hulu. So yeah.
I don't have Hulu anymore.
After
the Books of Blood was over, I just couldn't see anything that I watched a couple of like Marvel TV show things that were like the kind of reject ones. What were they? What those people that are like have alien blood?
The Immortals? The Eternals?
No.
Oh.
Were they? Oh, God. Anyway.
People who have alien blood? Okay.
Yeah, and like one of them, this lady had hair that she was Medusa and she could grab people with her.
Oh, yeah. It's the Eternals.
Yeah, and she got her head shaved in the first episode. Like, oh, I guess you got no superpowers now. Oh,
yeah, that's a terrible thing to do to Medusa. Jeez. Yeah, that was an old Jack Kirby comic book universe, the Eternals.
And the
Deviants.
The TV show did a terrible job. And so there was that one and some other one about runaways, I think, or some, I don't know.
Cloak and Dagger?
Yeah, that was it, I think.
Yeah, that was an 80s comic, I think. It was about the dangers of drugs. One black teenager becomes Cloak, so he takes an experimental drug, and then his body becomes made of shadow, and he can swallow people into the shadow with his cloak. And then Dagger, she would get these daggers of light that she could throw at people and hurt them. At least in the comic book. I never saw the show.
I only saw like one episode of it, and I didn't really care for it.
Well, if the Hellraiser movie does go to Hulu, like we announced, then we might have to get back on that Hulu train.
I know. Yeah, and honestly, that sucks for people who aren't in the United States because the Hulu stuff's not coming out anywhere else. The Books of Blood movie, people, our friends in the UK still can't watch it.
That's a shame. Yeah, I know some of these. Netflix, I think, works in several countries now, but certainly these platforms, I'm not familiar exactly which countries they run on.
Well, and even Netflix has different content depending on what, they check your IP address and determine which story you should be in, and you get the US Netflix stuff.
Or you can get a VPN, and you can watch Chinese Netflix for some reason if you want to do that. So
So that might be a thing to do, to watch the Books of Blood if it's worth it for you.
Yeah, get a VPN.
Yeah,
we're not sponsored by any VPN, but
right. I know I do listen to a lot of podcasts that are sponsored by those VPNs, and that's what they talk about.
Yeah, so I'm very interested in this trailer, in this movie, and the little Muppet puppet thing that you were talking about.
Yeah,
that reminds me of a couple of movies that had stuff like that. You remember Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the opening story of Dracula on the battlefield.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then the Harry Potter movie, that Legend of the Three Brothers. that cheat death at the beginning of the Deathly Hallows.
I guess I forgot about that part. I did watch them all, but I've only seen them once when they came out.
It's a story how the guy got the magic wand that belongs to the wizard headmaster, and then the invisibility cloak, and the guy who became immortal made a deal with death. That was all. That story was all done with like paper puppets.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be neat. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully we'll get trailers or some news about these other Hellraiser projects as well. At some point. Once
they start actually getting into production and get, photography done to them. I think some of these are still casting. Some of these are probably in pre-production.
Yeah, so it's going to be maybe another year or more before we see anything.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah.
Guess you're right.
Well, so for coming next, we did an extensive interview today with Doug Bradley, and it was really cool. I mean, he talked about stuff that I've never seen him talk about anywhere else, and he was really neat to talk to. I was there were times when I kind of forgot that I was supposed to be interviewing, and I just was listening, like I was listening to a podcast.
Me too. I was trying to come up with follow-up questions, and I was like, at one point, I think you see me just putting my head on my hand, and I'm just like looking at the computer, just kind of drifting off, because he's talking about things like the dog company and like stuff that they put on the stage, and then the light was shining behind it, and these rays come out, and people are like, "Oh my God, how beautiful!" And I was like, just visualizing that stuff,
or hearing about his uncle, right? That was the priest, or the Baptist minister. No, not Baptist.
Well,
Protestant,
you'll have to listen to that when it comes out. So we'll put that out next weekend if everything goes well. And we talked about so much of his early career that we actually will probably have to bring him in again later for an actual discussion about some of the Hellraiser movies and Nightbreed
and stuff, upcoming projects, because we really, that's kind of the thing that we try to fit in, is talking about upcoming projects, so they can say, hey, watch out for this thing that's coming. So we need to do that too.
Absolutely, yeah. But it was such a wonderful conversation. I came out of it feeling like, wow. I've never heard him speak to such detail of some of this stuff, and you guys will learn a lot about his early career.
Yeah. And then, of course, we got Hellraiser 2. Hellraiser 2. Illustrator 2. We'll be talking about Clive Barker's Illustrator 2 book. We've got a commentary coming up from inspired by Clive Barker's A to Z of Horror, N is for Nightmare, and we'll be talking about the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, this is God.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger himself, Robert Englund. I love that movie. Scared the crap out of me when I was a kid.
Me too.
I couldn't sleep with my arms hanging out of the bed because I thought Freddy was going to run his silk finger knives on it.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
Yeah. To this day, I have problems falling asleep. That's a horrifying
premise. I mean, the idea that you can't fall asleep ever, that's like, you
die.
Yeah. If you sleep, you die. You're painted into a corner, right?
Yeah, I think it was around that time that I first heard that, there was a person who stayed up for 21 days and died. And I'm not sure if that's a real thing or if it's just something I got off of the movie, the Nightmare on Elm Street, or something that was running around that time. That was a story that people were telling each other. But eventually
it would be really, really hard to stay up. I mean, for me, if I'm sitting still too long, I just fall asleep because I don't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine. But and then we'll be returning to hell in Jericho Squad 77, or the false hell from
Down Satan.
Satan, yeah.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. I love that we are now going down 9 circles of hell. I wonder what's going to be waiting for us at the end of that.
Yeah. So you guys are headed to the 3rd circle right now.
Yeah. What was that in the Inferno kind of mythology? 3rd circle. Let me look that up.
The 3rd circle is gluttony.
Right. Ooh, that's gonna be a lot of possibilities for monsters there.
Yeah. Yep. Be prepared. All right.
Yeah.
Well, and this podcast having no beginning will have no end. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have subscribed. You can find the Clive Barker podcast wherever you find audio. Show notes for this episode, as well as news and reviews, can be found at our website at www.clivebarkercast.com. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial podcast and blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans. Watch for our annual Kickstarter fundraisers to get some cool stuff, and you can buy t-shirts on our TeePublic store. Go to tpublic.com and search for BarkerCast.
Thanks for listening.